The glittering lights of the entertainment industry often mask the deep, complex realities of the human heart, creating a fascinating contrast between what the public sees and what transpires behind closed doors. For years, audiences around the world have watched high-profile couples navigate the tumultuous waters of fame, wondering what truly happens when the cameras turn off and the applause fades away. Relationships built in the public eye carry a unique set of challenges, where every smile is analyzed, every public appearance is scrutinized, and every whisper can turn into a headline. Yet, despite the constant pressure of the spotlight, some bonds appear so resilient, so deeply rooted in mutual respect and shared history, that they seem completely unbreakable to the outside observer. This sense of stability makes the sudden shifts in these high-profile dynamics all the more compelling, drawing listeners and viewers into a narrative that feels both deeply personal and universally relatable. As we delve into the intricate layers of modern relationships, fame, and the unexpected turning points that redefine lives, we invite you to become a permanent part of our community by subscribing to this channel, ensuring you never miss the deep dives and captivating stories we bring to light every single week. Understanding the mechanics of a long-term partnership requires looking far beyond the superficial moments shared on social media or celebrated on red carpets. It requires an appreciation for the quiet moments, the unspoken agreements, and the gradual evolution that occurs when two people grow together over the span of a decade. 10 years is a monumental milestone in any relationship, but in the fast-paced, high-stress environment of modern entertainment, it represents an entire lifetime of shared triumphs, collective struggles, and mutual transformation. When two individuals climb the ladder of success hand in hand, their identities become intricately interwoven, making their collective journey a source of inspiration for millions who follow their trajectory. The audience watches them evolve from humble beginnings to the absolute pinnacle of their respective fields, celebrating their victories as if they were their own and finding comfort in the apparent strength of their union. This deep emotional investment from the public creates an environment where any sudden revelation sends shockwaves through the community, prompting a collective desire to understand the underlying truths behind the glamorous facade. At the center of this evolving narrative is a prominent podcast host known for her candid storytelling, unfiltered honesty, and unwavering connection with her audience. Through her platform, she has created a sanctuary where raw truths are spoken without fear of judgment, building a loyal community of listeners who tune in every week to hear her perspective on life, love, and everything in between. Her voice has become a familiar presence in the lives of many, characterized by a unique blend of strength, vulnerability, and sharp wit that cuts through the noise of traditional media. In her most recent broadcast, the atmosphere was charged with an undeniable sense of anticipation as she prepared to address a topic that had been circulating through the cultural zeitgeist for days. Listeners anchored themselves to her every word, sensing that this particular episode would transcend the usual banter and delve into a deeply personal chapter of her life that was currently unfolding in real time before the eyes of the world. The discussion opened a window into the delicate balance between personal healing and public perception, illustrating how an individual can face profound life changes with a remarkable degree of grace, maturity, and unexpected humor. Rather than retreating into isolation or projecting bitterness, the host chose to confront the unfolding situation with a level of radical transparency that both surprised and captivated her audience. She spoke at length about the nature of transition, the inevitability of change, and the importance of allowing the people we care about the freedom to find their own path, even when that path diverges significantly from our own. This philosophical approach to a deeply personal matter highlighted her resilience and reinforced her status as a powerful communicator who refuses to be defined by circumstance, choosing instead to control her own narrative and support those who were once an integral part of her daily existence. As the narrative unfolded during the broadcast, it became increasingly clear that the dynamics of this high-profile separation were far from conventional. Instead of the typical animosity and legal posturing that so often characterize the dissolution of a long-term marriage, the tone was overwhelmingly one of empowerment, mutual encouragement, and a strange, beautiful form of solidarity. The host painted a picture of a man who is currently experiencing a profound personal renaissance, stepping into a new season of life with a renewed sense of vigor, vitality, and confidence. She described him not with resentment, but with a genuine sense of admiration, noting his dedication to his personal well-being, his physical transformation, and the vibrant energy he is currently projecting to the world. This public display of support challenges the traditional archetypes of separation, offering a refreshing and mature perspective on how two people can transition from partners to individual entities while maintaining a deep, foundational respect for one another. The revelation that her estranged husband is already navigating the dating pool was met not with jealousy, but with an enthusiastic endorsement that echoed through the digital landscape. The host actively encouraged her audience to embrace this new chapter, even going so far as to playfully instruct her listeners to engage with him on social media and explore potential connections. This extraordinary gesture of goodwill underscores the deep affection that remains despite the legal ending of their marriage, showcasing a unique bond that transcends traditional relationship definitions. By reframing the situation as a time for him to shine, to explore, and to enjoy the fruits of his hard work and personal growth, she has set a new standard for public discourse surrounding separation. Leaving her audience eager to understand the full backstory, the pivotal moments that led to this decision, and what the future holds for both of these remarkable individuals as they walk into the unknown. The curtain has been lifted on the specific details that led to this monumental shift, revealing that the foundation of this high-profile marriage was tested by the very things that often strengthen a bond in its early years. To fully comprehend how a 10-year relationship reaches a definitive turning point, one must look at the hidden mechanics of their daily life in Williamson County, Tennessee. This picturesque location, known for its rolling hills and serene landscapes, served as the backdrop for a decade of shared dreams, but it also became the quiet setting for a growing emotional distance. For 8 of those 10 years, the couple operated on a strict philosophy of radical honesty, constantly reminding themselves and their massive audience that one must always be comfortable having the most uncomfortable conversations. They preached communication as the ultimate tool for relational survival, a guiding light that allowed them to navigate the initial waves of rising fame and changing circumstances without losing their core connection. However, the true test of any philosophy occurs when life accelerates at a speed that leaves very little room for quiet reflection or deep, restorative dialogue. Over the past year and a half, the trajectory of their lives shifted dramatically as a wave of monumental success and unprecedented public attention altered their daily reality. They found themselves existing in an entirely different life, a fast-paced and demanding world where the precious time required to maintain deep emotional alignment began to evaporate. When a partnership enters this hyper-accelerated phase, the habits that once kept it grounded can easily fall by the wayside. Instead of actively addressing the small frictions that naturally arise in any long-term union, both individuals began holding things in, internalizing their disagreements rather than exposing them to the healing air of open communication. This silence was not born out of malice or a lack of love, but rather out of a desire to protect the peace during an incredibly demanding season of life. Yet, as any student of human relationships knows, holding back grievances and suppressing individual anxieties is a definitive recipe for disaster, creating an invisible accumulation of pressure that requires only a single spark to trigger a total structural collapse. The definitive breaking point arrived on a day traditionally reserved for celebration and family honor. A poignant timing that added a layer of deep emotional weight to the entire situation. On Mother's Day, a final intense argument erupted between the two, serves as the ultimate catalyst that brought years of unspoken tension to an absolute head. It was during this emotionally charged confrontation that the podcast host, recognizing that the cycle of silence and unaddressed disagreements could no longer continue, looked at her husband and told him directly to file the formal divorce papers. This raw, unfiltered moment of clarity cut through the ambiguity that had plagued their recent months, forcing a definitive action that would forever alter the course of their lives. Following this intense exchange, the 41-year-old Grammy winner took the decisive step on May 18th, officially filing the legal documents in Williamson County and citing irreconcilable differences as the formal reason for their legal separation. The news broke to the public on a Monday, sending immediate shockwaves through the music and entertainment communities. As fans scrambled to piece together how such a seemingly solid union could dissolve so rapidly, despite the explosive nature of the announcement. The aftermath of the filing has revealed an extraordinary level of maturity and mutual respect that defies the typical expectations of a celebrity divorce. Rather than engaging in a bitter public feud or retreat into defensive silence, The 46-year-old podcaster chose to use her platform to lay out the reality of the situation with breathtaking candor. She confirmed that her estranged husband, whom she affectionately referred to by his nickname, is completely ready, raring, and prepared to embark on a brand new chapter of his personal life. Describing him as being all hopped up on testosterone, she revealed to her listeners that he has already taken the bold step of entering the modern dating scene. Far from being upset by this rapid progression, she insisted with absolute certainty that seeing him play the field is fantastic, declaring her genuine love for this new development. She painted a vivid picture of a man experiencing his finest season yet, describing him as a god who looks healthier, happier, and more physically confident than he has ever been in his entire adult life. This enthusiastic endorsement extended to her actively directing her massive audience to participate in his new journey, creating a surreal and fascinating dynamic where an ex-wife becomes the ultimate champion of her former partner's romantic endeavors. She informed her loyal listeners that his direct messages on Instagram are completely open, explicitly urging interested individuals to slide into his messages without hesitation. In doing so, she provided an intimate look into his true character, describing him as a little lover who genuinely enjoys the simple comforts of snuggling and cuddling, thereby humanizing the larger-than-life country music star for potential suitors. However, this open invitation came with a strict set of emotional guidelines and boundaries, as she made it abundantly clear that anyone approaching him must do so with the utmost respect, transparency, and absolute honesty. She stated with fierce protectiveness that if a prospective love interest comes into his life without being sneaky and without telling lies, she will personally welcome that person into the extended family fold with wide open arms. This unique stance highlights an incredible level of self-awareness, as she openly acknowledged that her estranged husband currently desires and deserves the complete opposite of what she represents as an individual. After stepping out of an intense, decade-long relationship, she recognized that his soul requires a period of exploration, freedom, and light-hearted connection rather than another immediate, heavy emotional commitment. She recalled telling him directly that this is his absolute time to shine, encouraging him to embrace the single life fully and enjoy the fruits of his monumental personal transformation. While he steps confidently into this vibrant new social world with her full blessing, the host has made a conscious, deliberate choice to chart an entirely different course for her own immediate future. She reassured her concerned fans that they have absolutely no reason to worry about her well-being, stating firmly that she is doing perfectly fine on her own side of the fence. For the time being, she has zero interest in pursuing romantic hookups or entering the dating pool herself, choosing instead to redirect that immense energy inward, focusing entirely on self-care, personal development, and pouring strength back into her own soul after a decade of shared devotion. The profound transformation of this celebrated relationship serves as a powerful reminder of how individual journeys can intersect, create beautiful harmony for a season, and then gracefully diverge as new horizons emerge. To understand why this development matters so deeply to millions of fans, one must appreciate the incredible odyssey that both individuals underwent to reach this pivotal moment in time. Their story is not just about the end of a marriage. It is an epic testament to resilience, redemption, and the relentless pursuit of personal growth against seemingly impossible odds. Before becoming a household name and a Grammy-winning phenomenon, the country music star faced a challenging, tumultuous youth filled with immense hardships and personal obstacles that easily could have derailed his life permanently. It was through sheer artistic dedication, raw vocal vulnerability, and an authentic connection to human suffering that he managed to channel his past pain into a groundbreaking musical career that resonates across generations. Throughout that grueling climb from the fringes of the industry to the absolute pinnacle of global stardom, his partner stood by his side as a fierce anchor, a creative sounding board, and an unwavering source of emotional stability. Their decade together was defined by this mutual elevation, as they constructed a shared empire built on absolute authenticity and an unwillingness to conform to conventional industry expectations. As his musical career exploded into stadium tours and critical acclaim, her own professional path flourished simultaneously, culminating in the creation of a massive media platform that empowers listeners to embrace their own flaws and triumphs. This shared trajectory meant that their lives were fundamentally intertwined not just emotionally, but professionally, creatively, and culturally. When a partnership of such monumental proportions undergoes a structural shift, it ripples through the entire entertainment landscape, forcing audiences to re-examine their own definitions of success, longevity, and love. The cultural significance of their separation lies in the revolutionary way they have chosen to handle the transition, replacing the standard public relations warfare with an unprecedented display of unconditional love and radical mutual support that challenges the very fabric of traditional celebrity breakups. By choosing to publicly uplift her former partner as he steps into his self-described finest season, the podcast host is rewriting the rules of modern consciously uncoupling, showing that the end of a legal contract does not have to mean the end of a deep-seated spiritual alliance. Her detailed descriptions of his current state of being highlight a profound admiration for the physical, mental, and emotional work he has put into himself over the recent years. This transformation, characterized by a healthier lifestyle and a radiant, newfound confidence, is celebrated by the person who knows him best, illustrating that true love desires the absolute happiness of the other person, even if that happiness is found outside the boundaries of marriage. This enlightened perspective provides a comforting sense of closure for the fans who have invested years of emotional energy into their story, transforming what could have been a tragic narrative of loss into an inspiring chronicle of individual rebirth and mutual respect, as the country music icon explores this fresh chapter of independence. His journey is bound to influence his artistic output, promising a future era of music that is deeply reflective, honest, and filled with the complex emotions of a man rediscovering himself in his 40s. The music industry watches with bated breath, knowing that some of the greatest art in human history is born from moments of profound life transitions and emotional awakenings. Concurrently, the host's deliberate decision to step away from the dating pool and focus entirely on pouring energy into her own soul sets an equally powerful example for her global audience. Her transparency about not being ready to connect with anyone else and her commitment to self-worship and personal reflection offers a beautiful blueprint for anyone navigating the aftermath of a major life change. It reminds viewers that choosing oneself, establishing firm boundaries, and taking the time to heal independently is not a sign of loneliness, but an act of supreme courage and self-respect. The legacy of their 10-year union remains entirely untarnished by this separation, surviving as a golden era of mutual triumph that laid the groundwork for who they are both destined to become as individuals. The stories they created, the obstacles they overcame together in Williamson County, and the unconditional love they shared will forever form the bedrock of their respective histories. As they move forward along separate paths under the watchful eyes of the world, they do so not as adversaries but as lifelong allies who shared a beautiful transformative epoch. This closing of a chapter marks the beginning of two distinct, fascinating narratives that will undoubtedly continue to captivate, inspire, and teach us about the fluid, ever-evolving nature of human connection, proving that true devotion never truly vanishes, but simply changes its form to allow both souls to shine as brightly as possible in their own unique light.